We'll consider two cases. This is case number 1, and we will have case number 2. For case number 1, we are going to use the loop for counting, add. So we need a variable. So you know that for counting, if you want to count, for example, if I ask you count from 1 to 10, here you have two options. Either you count up or you count down. If I ask you to count up, then you say 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 10. So the first value is 1, the last value is 10, and you go from one number to another by adding 1. So we say we are counting. In some problems, we need to repeat a certain step 10 times. So I need a loop to repeat 10 times by using counter-controlled while loop. When we say counter-controlled, it means the loop is controlled by a variable that works as a counter. Or I can ask you to count down, starting from 10. You say 10, 9, 8, until you reach 1. So you are starting from 10 and you are ending at 1, but you are decreasing the value by 1. Again, we are counting 10. Both we are counting 10, but the first one up, the second one is down. So you initialize the counter. So in fact, the counter is an integer. You first initialize the counter, and then we will check for the counter if it is within a range. If it is within the range, then we will process the counter. We do something with the counter, and don't forget to update the counter. If you don't update it, you will have an infinite loop. And then you will go back to the beginning of the loop and test for the counter again. If it is false, we will go outside. Our example, introduction example, was this type of loops because we had A, and A was increased by 1. So we started from 1, and then 2, it becomes 2, 3. So that type of loop comes on this category. So this is the same example we covered before. Since the variable I is counting, so we say that this loop is counter-controlled while loop. Here are some examples that you can put in your mind if you want to construct counter-controlled loops. You will have two types of counting loops. Either you count up or you count down. Now you know that if you want to count up, then the start should be less than or equal to n. And also you should increase the value of I to go from start to end. And this is how you construct the loop. You define your variable and you put the initial value for start. And now for the condition, since the start is always less than or equal to end, so you have to write I less than or equal to end. And inside the loop, the update will be plus or plus because you are counting up. So you are going from small number to larger number. Here is an example. This loop is counting 10 times. How did I know 10 times? Because it starts from 1, it ends at 10, and it is increased by 1 in each iteration. So I know that this loop will repeat 10 times. The other type of counter control loops is counting down. And this is not natural to us as a human. As a human, we always count up. If I ask you how many pens do we have on the table? So by default, you will start from 1. You will say 1, 2, 3. So we are counting up. But sometimes if you want to solve a problem, you have to solve it from back to front. So you need countdown loop. So again, we will have a start and we have end. But remember, start is greater than end because you are counting down. So if you want to go from start to end, and always start is greater than or equal to end, you need to decrease the value of I because you are counting down. And again, this loop, as an example here, this is also repeated 5 times, but it is not starting from 1 like counting up. It starts from 10, it goes down by 1 until it reaches 1. So if you have count up, you will use less than or equal and put the variable on the left-hand side. And if you have count down, you put the variable on the left-hand side and you write greater than or equal to an end. The other type, the case 2 type for while loop, it does not count. It repeats, yes, it repeats, but it does not count. And where we will use this situation, we will use this situation if we want repeatedly read numbers. So if I want to read a set of numbers repeatedly, then we can use sentinel controlled while loop. And we will have some examples on this. So how it works? You read an input from the user and you will check for the input for a certain number, and this number is called sentinel. And by the way, this could work on char, strings, and etc. But I will just explain as we are assuming that we are reading integer. So you read the first integer and you check. If it is not an integer to stop reading, then which is called sentinel, then we will go process this number and read again. And we keep repeating this until we find a number, we call it sentinel, which will stop reading, and then we continue. This is how it works. You read from the user, you check for sentinel. If this sentinel is not the one we are looking for, then we will process the input, and then we are going to read for next number. If this next number is not the one we are looking for to stop the loop, then again we will process it and read again for the next one until the last one we are reading is the sentinel, then we will go out from the loop. Here is an example, and I don't want to go over it by talking. Let me show you how it works on JGrasp. Here we are back now in JGrasp. So I have already created the file, prepared it. As I said before, if I want to repeatedly read a set of numbers terminated by a certain number to stop, here is an example. It says read a set of numbers and stops when -1 is entered by the user. So when the user types 90, -34, 89, 1, 0, -846, and when the user enter -1, then the program should stop reading. We will have many applications for such type of numbers. For example, maybe we can ask you, write a program to read a set of numbers and print their summation. So we have to read those numbers and print their summation. Or we can have a problem like by saying, write a program that reads a set of numbers and count how many of these numbers are positive and how many of these numbers are negative. So these are some tasks that we can do on a set of integers. But before we try to answer those questions, we would like to know how to read those numbers using one variable. So we're not going to have a variable for each of them. We are going to use one variable that will read those values in turn. راح يقرأ هاي الأرقام بالترتيب. First it will save 90 inside it, and then we will process 90. Then we will use it for reading the next number and etc. So this is how it works. We need to define first the number that we are going to read from the user. So I'm going to call it a number. So we will ask the user here, system dot out dot println, and then we will say enter a set of integers, and we will put between a bracket -1 to stop. Now this number that we will use to stop reading is called, we will call it sentinel. Okay, so sentinel is the number that we use in the data to stop, and it is not part of the data because the data consists of 90, -34, etc. until 6, but -1 is not part of the data. So if we ask you find their sum, so you should find the sum up to only for these numbers. So we are asking the user enter a set of integers -1 to stop. And inside we will have, or after that we will write while, and now we need to check for a condition. Now this condition, it should keep reading as long as, focus with me, it keeps reading as long as it is not equal to the sentinel, because if it's equal to sentinel we should go out from the loop. So if I want to go inside the loop, then we should write the opposite condition. But there is a way that you don't need to complicate the things. Now it says -1 to stop. Just simply write the condition as number equal -1. But this condition, okay, if it is equal to -1, should stop the loop, not to continue the loop, because if you write equal, it will not stop the loop. In the beginning we will read 90, and 90 is not equal to, oh, I forgot to read here, so we have to read number, which is n, next int. So reading, and then we will check for number. Now when we read 90 in the beginning, then 90 is not equal to -1, so it will never go inside the loop and read the next one. So what you have to do, since it says -1 to stop, just write equal and put in front of it not. And here I will write a comment. You can write number not equal -1 also will do the job. Now inside, what you want to do with each number, later we will show you how to find their summation or how many negative and positive numbers. Now what we want to do, just the printing. So any number we read it from the user, we want to print it. We say you typed, and then we will put the number. So which variable now is controlling the loop? The variable controlling the loop is number. Is it initialized? Yes, but initialized in a different way. We are reading from the user. We are not putting constant inside it, so it is initialized. So this is the initialized part. So are we writing a condition for it? Yes, this is the condition. Okay, this is the condition, but we don't have update inside. So if we read my 90 is not equal -1, so it will print you type 90. But it will keep going testing for 90, 90, 90 because we did not update number. So how to update? You put read one more time inside. This is for update. You have to update the value of number for the next one. So how it will work? We will run it by using the canvas to show you how it works. Now the canvas is running and there are no errors. So the program is waiting here at the statement for creating a scanner object, and we need to put the scanner on one side so that we can put the variables for tracing. We will proceed by stepping into the program by clicking this icon, the step in for selected thread, and now an object for a scanner is created. See on the left hand side there is a scanner called N, and this is the object that will hold the data. A message will be printed, proceed. So a message enter a set of integers -1 to stop, and once we come to next integer, then the program should wait here. So let it go, proceed, and now the program is waiting, so we have to enter the data. We will give the data one by one now, and then later we'll show you how to give the whole numbers at once and how it works. So now the scanner is waiting, and we will give it only one number, which is 90. Now when I press enter, now next integer will take that number and will save it into the variable number. Still on the left hand side, the variable is not created yet, because once we save data inside it, it will be created in the memory. Now we step in. Now it is created on the left hand side. See, it is created now, so we have to drag it to trace it and drop it into the canvas. The current value for number is 90. At line number 17, now the program is waiting here for testing. Since number is equal to 90, if we test number equal to -1, then the result is false because 90 is not equal to -1. And if we put not in front of it, then the condition will be true. So we will go inside the loop. Or we can test by following, by asking number is not equal -1, and really 90 is not equal -1, so we will enter the loop. We will step in now. So there is a print message, step in, and now here we have a reading from the input, and since we don't have anything inside the input scanner, so it will wait. So now it is waiting here for the next number, and I will put -34 according to the input we have in our data set. When we press enter, and now this next integer will take -34 and save it into number. So let me show you how. And now see the value for number has changed into -34. When the computer goes back to the beginning of the loop, now it is testing for -34, not 90. 90 is deleted, finished. It's not in the memory. What is in the memory is replaced by -34. Now -34 is not equal to -1, so the condition is true. Step in, we will go inside, and the program will print you typed -34. This process will continue, and I will just run it for you through the canvas to show you how it works, and I will give the input one by one. And notice now we give input, and the loop will print the value of that input. So the input and output is interfering with each other, متداخلين. So run it, and now see it is running. We will be here. Let us run it. So it is waiting now for an input. I will give it 89. Press enter. It will say you typed 89. I will give it 1. So I'm simply entering this data. Give it 0. Give it -84. Give it 6. And now when we give it -1, it will go to the beginning of the loop. Sorry, I have to press enter. It will go to the beginning now of the loop, and it will check for number since it's equal -1, so the condition is false, and we'll go out from the loop. So what was the output? So if you look at the output here, see the output. You give 90, your program will say you type 90, and then you give -34, and in between there is nothing indicates that you have to input inside. See, inside the loop, there is no message that says for this reading, there is no message that says you have to enter the next data. So how to give those all numbers at once and let the scanner read it one by one? We will run it again. Okay, so now we are running the program again. Let it go to the beginning of the loop. Now here we are here. Next integer is waiting for the input. Now instead of giving one value, which is 90, we are going to give it the whole values. So I will give it 90 -34, 89, 1, 0, -84, 6, and we will give it -1. Now when I press enter, this whole 9, I will show you now. I will press enter. Now this whole line will be saved inside the scanner object. Because there is an object, it is reading the whole number inside. This method, next integer, will simply take the first one only and will save it into number. So step n, the value of number now is equal to 90, which is the first value, but still we have data inside the scanner. So when we proceed, it will say you typed, and it will print the value that has taken from the scanner, which is 90. When it goes to the next reading, which is here, since we have data inside the scanner, basically this data, then it will not wait. It will simply take -34 and will save it into number and continues. So step n, see, it is not waiting. It is just simply taking -34 and then proceeding to the next step. If we do it again, still we have data inside, which is 89. It will take it without waiting. See, 89. And then for the next one, it will take 1. Just look at this box. The value is changing in each iteration. The next value will be 0. The next value is -84. The next value is 6. Now, when it reads -1, when it goes back, the condition is false. Then it will go out from the loop. So this happens very fast. If I want to run it and give the data at once without the canvas, then we will see the output now here. See, the input is in one side and the output is separate because we are given the whole data at once. Now when you run it and I give the data all together and I press enter, see, it takes the data one by one because we are inside the loop. We are reading one after the other until it reaches the end, which is -1, and it will stop. So this type of loops is called sentinel controlled while loop because it depends on reading on numbers, and once it finds a number, which is called sentinel, it stops reading. Consequently, if there is a question that asks you to read a set of integers ended by a certain number, then this is the structure. So you read, you check for sentinel, you process the number, and then you read again inside. If you don't put read again, you will have infinite loop.